Each summer, millions of tons of sweet, juicy peaches are harvested across the globe, especially in the United States, China, Italy, and Spain. But how exactly do these fuzzy fruits make their way from blooming orchards to supermarket shelves or canned goods? From blossom to box, this is the incredible journey of peach farming and processing. It all begins in early spring when peach trees wake from their winter dormancy. These trees, pruned to control their shape and ensure high productivity, start producing bright pink and white blossoms. Pollination is critical at this stage. While bees play the lead role, some farms also use artificial pollination techniques to boost yield. Once pollinated, the flowers drop their petals, and tiny green peaches begin to grow. Over the next few months, these fruits develop size, sweetness, and color. Farmers monitor temperature, soil moisture, and leaf health using precision agriculture tools, sometimes drones or satellite data, to ensure optimal growth. In regions like Georgia, South Carolina, and California, the U.S.'s peach powerhouses, the ideal climate of hot days and cool nights makes for intensely flavored fruit. Peach harvest usually begins in late spring and peaks in midsummer. But this isn't a one-and-done process. Peaches on a single tree ripen at different rates, so picking is done in several passes. Each peach must be picked by hand, gently, carefully, because the fruit bruises easily. Skilled workers walk row by row, cradling the fruit, checking its color and firmness, and placing it into padded bags. On large farms, hydraulic platforms help pickers reach tall trees, while conveyors transport the fruit to field trucks. Timing is everything. A peach that's too green won't ripen properly after harvest. Too ripe, it may turn mushy by the time it reaches the store. Once picked, the peaches are taken to on-site packing facilities within hours to preserve freshness. At the packing house, the peaches begin their next journey. First, they are poured gently onto conveyor belts. Large fans and air blowers remove loose leaves and debris. Next comes washing, using soft water sprays and mild detergents to clean the fruit's skin without damaging its delicate fuzz. After drying, each peach is graded. Cameras and sensors assess size, shape, color, and any surface blemishes. Advanced computer vision systems even use infrared imaging to check internal firmness and sugar content. The fruit is sorted into categories: premium fresh market peaches, lower grade peaches for juice or puree, and damaged fruit for compost or animal feed. Some packing houses even use robotic arms to gently place top-grade peaches into protective trays, keeping the skin untouched by human hands after cleaning. Fresh market peaches are packed with care to minimize bruising and extend shelf life. Depending on the destination, peaches may be packed in foam trays, molded pulp cups, or flow-wrapped in breathable plastic. Each box is labeled with orchard code, harvest date, grade, and often the variety, like Yellow Cling, Red Haven, or Alberta. Before shipment, the fruit is quickly cooled to remove field heat, a process called hydrocooling or forced air cooling. This slows ripening and prevents decay. Peaches destined for export are stored in controlled atmosphere cold rooms, which regulate oxygen and CO2 to delay over-ripening. From there, trucks and refrigerated containers distribute them to supermarkets, farmers markets, or restaurants across the country and beyond. Not all peaches are sold fresh. Millions of pounds are processed into canned goods, juices, jams, or frozen slices. At industrial plants, freshly harvested peaches are dumped into large water tanks called flumes, which gently move them through the system. Next comes blanching, briefly exposing the peaches to hot water or steam. This loosens the skins, which are then removed by brushes or peelers. After peeling, peaches are halved and pitted by high-speed machines that use blades or spinning cups. Workers inspect each half for leftover pits, bruises, or signs of disease. Once sorted, the peach halves are packed into cans or jars, then filled with syrup, juice, or water. Sealing machines cap the containers, and thermal processing, also called retort cooking, heats the cans to kill bacteria and ensure shelf stability. After cooling, labels are added and the cans are boxed for global distribution. Processed peaches can last over a year without refrigeration and are a staple in households, bakeries, and restaurants worldwide. Some peaches are destined for freezer bags or dried fruit snacks. For freezing, the fruit is cleaned, peeled, sliced, and dipped in a solution of ascorbic acid to prevent browning. Flash freezing locks in flavor and nutrition. The slices are packed into plastic bags or containers and kept at -18 degrees or below. For drying, peach slices are placed on large mesh trays inside dehydration tunnels. Hot, dry air removes moisture over 12 to 20 hours. Once dried, the peaches are chewy, concentrated in flavor, and often dusted with sugar or preservatives. They're packed into resealable pouches and distributed as healthy snacks, baking ingredients, or breakfast toppings. Peach farming also produces large amounts of waste: pits, peels, trimmings. But today, nearly everything is reused. Peach pits are crushed for use as biomass fuel or ground into abrasive materials for scrubbing products. Some companies extract peach kernel oil, a valuable ingredient in cosmetics due to its high vitamin E content. Peels and pulp go into compost, animal feed, or biogas digesters. In many regions, peach farms now use drip irrigation, solar power, and natural pest control to lower their environmental footprint. Cover crops and mulching help improve soil health, while AI-driven water sensors optimize resource use. It's not just about volume anymore, it's about growing smarter. Peaches aren't all the same. In fact, there are over 2,000 varieties globally. They fall into two main categories: clingstone and freestone. Clingstones, where the flesh sticks to the pit, are juicier and ideal for canning. Freestones, where the pit separates easily, are preferred for fresh eating. Flavor varies by variety, growing region, and even the time of harvest. Some peaches are ultra-sweet and low in acidity. Others are more tart with a firm bite, perfect for grilling or baking. White peaches, with their pale flesh and floral aroma, are popular in Asia and gourmet markets. Each variety offers a unique taste of the land where it grew, sun, soil, and the hands that nurtured it. China is the world's largest peach producer, followed by Italy, Spain, and the United States. In the US, Georgia may be nicknamed the Peach State, but California grows over 70% of the country's peaches, thanks to its vast Central Valley. Italy's Emilia-Romagna region and Spain's Aragon area also cultivate massive quantities for the European market. In Japan, peaches are treated like precious gems, individually wrapped, gifted on special occasions, and sometimes selling for $10 or more per fruit. Meanwhile, small family farms around the world continue to grow heirloom varieties using traditional methods, often selling directly to local customers. Whether industrial or artisanal, peach farming is deeply rooted in culture, community, and cuisine. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into peach farming and processing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and explore more fascinating journeys from farm to table. In the time it takes you to watch this sentence, over 2,000 bottles of apple juice have already been filled, capped, and labeled somewhere in the world. But how do fresh apples, muddy, irregular, sometimes bruised, get turned into this? A clear, sweet, shelf-stable drink you can grab at any store, anytime? Today, we're taking you inside one of the most advanced apple juice factories in the world to see how millions of apples are transformed into the golden liquid millions of people drink every day. If you enjoy discovering how everyday things are made with high-tech precision, don't forget to subscribe to Top Discovery 4K. New videos every week, straight from the factory floor. Now let's begin the journey of apple juice, from farm to factory. Our journey begins not in a lab or a factory, but in the open air of an apple orchard. Here, thousands of trees stretch across rolling hills, their branches heavy with fruit. Depending on the region and the season, apples are harvested anywhere between late summer and early autumn. But these aren't the shiny, perfect apples meant for grocery store displays. In fact, most of the apples used in juice production are what the industry calls grade B, or processing apples. They may be slightly bruised, misshapen, or have surface blemishes, but they're still rich in juice, flavor, and natural sugars. and that's all that matters. The harvesting can happen in two ways. For small farms, apples are still picked by hand, gently twisted off the stems to avoid bruising. But in large-scale commercial orchards, mechanical harvesters take over. These machines shake the tree trunks, causing ripe apples to fall onto padded collection mats or conveyor belts below. Once harvested, the apples are placed into large plastic crates, often holding up to 900 kilograms of fruit each. They're then loaded onto flatbed trucks and sent directly to the processing plant. In most cases, this happens within 24 hours of picking. Once the apples arrive at the juice factory, their transformation begins almost immediately. Each truckload is first weighed and registered at the receiving bay. Once approved, the apples are unloaded into a massive flume system, essentially a long, water-filled channel that moves the apples into the facility. This process isn't just about transportation, it's also the first step in cleaning. As the apples float along the flume, they're gently agitated to remove leaves, twigs, and surface dirt. The water cushions them, preventing bruising and early damage. From there, the apples pass through a mechanical scrubber, rotating brushes that scrub away any remaining soil or pesticides. Next, they're rinsed again, this time with filtered chlorinated water, followed by a freshwater rinse to ensure hygiene without leaving residues. At this point, the apples are clean, sorted by flow, and moving in perfect rhythm. Thousands per hour glide down stainless steel chutes, heading into the heart of the factory. What comes next is the moment of transformation, where apples stop being fruit and start becoming raw material. Let's head into sorting and crushing. Before the apples can be turned into juice, they need to be sorted, fast, and with incredible precision. Next comes the crusher. Here, the sorted apples are fed into large stainless steel grinders equipped with rotating blades. These blades slice, shred, and mash the apples into a thick, wet pulp called pomace. But there's still one problem. The juice is locked inside the fibers. To extract it, the factory turns to something stronger. Industrial presses capable of squeezing tons of pressure per square inch. In the next step, we'll see how this mash is pressed, filtered, and separated, as cloudy apple mash becomes real, drinkable juice. The apple mash, now a thick, pulpy blend called pomace, enters one of the most critical stages in the juice-making process: pressing. At this point, the goal is simple: extract as much liquid as possible without sacrificing flavor or quality. To do that, factories use two main types of equipment: the belt press and the hydraulic press. In a belt press, the pomace is fed onto a wide, moving conveyor made of porous material. As the mash travels forward, it's squeezed between multiple rollers that gradually increase in pressure. Juice flows out through tiny perforations in the belt, while the dry remains are carried away. The alternative, used in some factories, is the hydraulic press, where the pomace is loaded into a chamber and compressed vertically by a powerful piston. This method is slower, but can produce juice with more body and texture, often used for premium or unfiltered apple juice. No matter the method, the result is the same. A golden, aromatic liquid begins to flow. It's raw apple juice, thick, fragrant, and slightly cloudy, still full of tiny particles of pulp, skin, and fiber. This raw juice is pumped into settling tanks, where heavier solids begin to sink. Then it's passed through a series of filters, fine mesh screens and spinning separators that remove seeds, peel fragments, and grit. The leftover dry material, or spent pomace, is collected and trucked away. Most factories send it to nearby farms, where it's used as animal feed, compost, or even processed into fiber supplements. Back inside the plant, the filtered juice is now ready for the next phase: clarification. This is where the cloudy liquid becomes the clear, sparkling juice we're used to seeing on store shelves. Once the juice is pressed and filtered, it's still cloudy, full of tiny pulp particles and natural pectin. To make it clear and shelf-ready, it must be clarified. First, the juice is pumped into large settling tanks. Here, gravity helps solids sink, while enzymes are added to break down pectin and starches that cause haze. Next, the juice passes through centrifuges, spinning at high speed to separate fine solids. Finally, it goes through microfiltration units, using ultrafine membranes to remove tiny particles and bacteria. The result is a crystal-clear, golden apple juice, smooth, uniform, and ready for pasteurization. Some brands choose to skip this step, keeping the juice cloudy for a more natural look. But for most commercial products, clarity is key. Before apple juice can be bottled, it needs to be made safe, and that's where pasteurization comes in. The clarified juice is rapidly heated to around 85 degrees Celsius, 185 degrees for 15 to 30 seconds. This short burst of heat kills harmful bacteria, molds, and enzymes that could cause spoilage. Immediately after, the juice is cooled just as fast to preserve its fresh flavor and natural color. This process is known as flash pasteurization. Fast, efficient, and gentle. Some factories use plate heat exchangers, while others rely on tubular systems, depending on production scale. Pasteurization not only makes the juice microbiologically safe, it also extends shelf life without adding preservatives. Now, with juice filtered, clarified, and pasteurized, it's ready for the final step: bottling and packaging, where automation meets precision on a massive scale. Now that the apple juice is pasteurized, it's ready to be bottled. Empty containers, whether plastic, glass, or cartons, are first cleaned using blasts of ionized air or sterilizing steam. Then they move into high-speed filling machines, where the hot juice is dispensed with incredible precision, often hundreds of bottles per minute. Immediately after filling, bottles are sealed with airtight caps to prevent contamination. They pass through a cooling tunnel to bring the juice to room temperature, locking in freshness. Next comes labeling, where each bottle gets its brand wrap, nutritional info, and a printed batch code for traceability. Finally, bottles are grouped, shrink-wrapped, and stacked on pallets, ready to be shipped to grocery stores around the world. The entire process is automated, efficient, and designed for hygiene from start to finish. From sunlit orchards to stainless steel factories, the journey of apple juice is a story of nature, science, and precision. Each bottle represents thousands of carefully harvested apples, washed, sorted, crushed, filtered, pasteurized, and bottled within hours. What begins as imperfect fruit becomes a perfect product, consistent, clean, and ready for shelves around the world. It's easy to take a drink like apple juice for granted, but behind every sip lies an incredible process, driven by people, powered by machines, and refined by decades of innovation. If you enjoyed discovering how your favorite foods are made, don't forget to subscribe to Top Discovery 4K. We bring you closer to the world of modern manufacturing, one product at a time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.